Welcome, my fellow Questers, to Metaverse Adventures. My name's Immersive Matthew. Today is August 3rd, and this is your Oculus Quest Week in Review. And this week, the news is a little lighter than what we've seen over the past couple of months. We're going to start, as always, by looking at our Quest hype cycle and then quickly touch on the sales report. And I know a lot of you now are beginning to receive your Quests based on the comments I've seen. We'll talk about that more in just a few moments. There are no new games to announce this week, unfortunately. However, there are 5 coming soon games I want to share with you, and there's some pretty cool games coming out for the Quest sometime in the not too distant future, including some later this month. Hold up, make that 9, because 4 more coming soon games got announced this week. And so that's now the biggest section, and there's some really cool games in there. One that is going to totally blow your mind when it comes to what kind of graphics the Quest is capable of. So do stay tuned, because the coming soon section is awesome. We're then going to talk about 42 locations of Quest laser tag. You're going to not want to miss this one. This is a really cool. And then we'll wrap up the whole show and talk about some cool community updates. I should also say, if you're looking to skip to a section, down below in the description, I'm now linking to each of the major headings I just covered off. So go and check them out if you like. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and let's get into the Quest news. Alright, as always, let's start off with our Quest hype cycle and jump over to Google Trends and look at data on the Oculus Quest, the Oculus Rift S, and the Valve Index. Those would be my 3 sort of baselines now for the past 3 months. And when we look at the data, we can see that it's more or less the same as we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Last Saturday when we talked, it was actually on its way down. It was a kind of a downward trend. And as we went out through this week, it sort of bounced up again. And here we are again a week later, and it's kind of going back to where it was a week ago. So not a heck of a lot has changed on this front. Quest is still the #1 search for headset on the market. And I know that some of you have commented that, searching on Google does not equal sales, and I couldn't agree more. However, it definitely is a strong leading indicator of interest, and when there's interest, there's typically sales. And I think the sales report will confirm that that is exactly what's been happening. Also, I've been reporting on Nintendo Switch Lite as another data point. When the Nintendo Switch Lite got announced, it rocketed up really high, much higher than even the highest of highs for the Oculus Quest. However, it also dropped quite a bit, and last week I reported that Nintendo Switch actually dropped below the level of interest of the Oculus Quest. And this week, that continues. It's still lower than the Oculus Quest. And I'm really surprised by this. It just seems surprising that the Oculus Quest is getting more searches than the Nintendo Switch Lite. I'm surprised. Now we'll see where this data goes as we head towards Christmas. I'm certain both of these products are going to rocket up. Who's going to become the king this Christmas? I have a feeling that we're going to see the Oculus Quest give Nintendo a serious run for its money this Christmas. It's going to be on its heels as the hot portable electronic gaming device. And of course, the Oculus Quest is so much more than just games. I mean, it's just one aspect of all the things that it does. In fact, I spend more of my time in apps and experiences than I even do games as of late. On the sales side, I reported last week that the 64GB model was back on the top 100, and happy to report it's still there this week. It's sitting at number 50, and so it's been slowly rising. I like to see where this goes, and it does seem like stock is beginning to flow again. I reported on last week that looked like it was flowing, and it seems to be continuing this week, because if you go there to the site right now, the 64GB model will ship in 1 to 2 days, with a delivery of August 13th to 20th, which I'm not really sure why it says that. Maybe someone in the comments can explain how that is. I don't think it's going to take that long. Many of you have actually been reporting faster delivery times from Amazon than we've seen over the past couple months. So I think things are really going to ease up and flow as per normal. The 128GB model is not on the top 100 list still. It's not in stock, and that's probably why it's not in the top 100. And it won't be until August 6th. But strangely enough, it delivers just 1 day later than the 64GB model, which is in stock. So something's definitely a little messed up with the data here. Hopefully Amazon sorts this out. Maybe some of you who ordered from Amazon this past week, let us know in the comments what your experience has been in terms of delivery. If we head over to Oculus's website, they're shipping the 64GB model by August 5th and the 128GB model by August 2nd. Best Buy also has some pretty good dates here for shipping. The 64GB model ships on August 3rd or sooner if you pick it up in store, and that really depends on availability of your store. And the 128GB model also ships on August 3rd. And then finally, the last retailer I want to cover off, this one's more to go, what are you doing? And that is for Walmart. Walmart has the 64GB model for $544.99. A bargain, right? I don't understand how Walmart can get away with this. It says the list price is normally $670.34. Like, you can still tell an algorithm made that price up, right? This is some like hard math that came up with 34 cents. So that's a bit disappointing, and I urge Walmart to seriously, this is not good for their image. This is not the lowest price when I can find it for much less many places, and their list price is the retail list price. And then the Walmart 128GB model, even worse. It's $609.99, a bargain, because its list price is actually $750.29. So you're getting a hell of a deal there at Walmart. I don't know what you're doing, Walmart, but you're not the lowest price in town, and you're not fooling us with your used shop mall. Like I said, there's no new games this week to report, unfortunately, so I'm just going to roll straight into SideLoad. We've got a couple cool stories there to cover off. And the very first SideLoad story we got to talk about is Half-Life yet again for the third week in a row. And this week is just as much news and still just as much hype going on around Dr. Beef's mod of the Half-Life source, putting it on the Oculus Quest. And by all accounts, done a fantastic job. And I have not had an opportunity yet to try this out, though it's definitely on my radar to do. But just reading comments from people on Reddit and over in a whole bunch of videos on YouTube around this topic, people are loving this. They're just thinking like, yeah, the graphics are a bit dated from, the era, but the experience, the game being in there is really fulfilling a lot of people's sort of childhood fantasies, because they've always wanted to go in to Black Mesa. So this is pretty cool. This week, Dr. Beef informed us that he has a new update, and it's already in SideQuest. So if you're loading this experience via SideQuest, that's the Lambda 1 VR, that's the engine that Dr. Beef created to run the Half-Life game. He has some new fixes in there. First off, there's the aiming issues that were preventing people from hitting head crabs, among other things, has been fixed. Laser aiming has been fixed. Now all you gotta do is click the left thumbstick to turn on the laser pointer, which Dr. Beef sort of admits is sort of cheating, but hey, I mean, why not take the advantage if that's the kind of experience you're looking for, or if you need a little aiming assistance. I like a laser. The menu button now also exits the menu instead of having to click resume, so straight up back into the game. It has much improvement weapon angles, especially the crowbar. It had some weird angles that for those of you who looked at the videos or have tried it yourself would know. You can also now enable snap turning if that's something you're into. And the last thing that Dr. Beef has not fixed is the crowbar getting detached from your controller. It sort of floats out. If that happens, what he's recommending you do is just simply switch weapons and then go back to the crowbar, and it should snap back into its proper location. For all those out there who are loving this mod, I guess on behalf of everybody, thank you, Dr. Beef. And just reading these comments makes me want to play it even more. Another game you can sideload today is called Space Pilot Alliance. It's made by another local Vancouverite here in the Lower Mainland named Curious VR, and it's a flight sim that's in alpha right now. It's still pretty basic, but looking at the videos, I mean, it's not that basic. Those who have tried it say it's actually a pretty good game, and actually something that they would love to see flushed out a little more completely and make it a full-on game and put it in the Oculus store. Now, this individual is a new developer. They've done a whole bunch of other sort of small projects, but they haven't taken anything all the way to a full-time game, because as you know, to polish a game is a lot of work, it's a lot of hours. And so they're asking if the community likes this to please go to their Patreon page, links below, and go ahead and throw some money their way so they can then focus all their attention in completing this game. So if you want to see a game like this on the Quest, here's your opportunity to pay it forward, pay it to a talented developer. You can go and look at all his other projects he's worked on. He's got lots of things he's done. I have no doubt he can finish this game. Please go ahead and throw a few bucks his way, download the alpha. And for those who do support on Patreon, you're gonna get access to additional free content, free levels, beyond just the main demo that we're all going to get for free. But there's going to be more content for the Patreon supporters. So if you're into flight sims, this is a great opportunity to get ahead, be a part of something, help build that community, join his Discord, join his program, send him some money on Patreon, and let's make this game happen. And the last story in SideLoad, and this is not really a SideLoad app, but more of a fundraiser for SideQuest. Because this week, Redditor KWJ posted that they raised the SideQuest Patreon from just $37 a month all the way up to $500. In fact, as of this recording, it's actually over $532. So thank you to the community for supporting SideQuest. I think we can get that even higher. So if you're one of the 100,000 people plus who have downloaded SideQuest and you're getting a lot of value out of this tool, you're getting a lot of enjoyment out of it, perhaps consider going on their Patreon and throwing a few bucks a month their way. If that's too much, you can also just throw $1 or $2 their way via PayPal. It's a one-time fee. You don't have to worry about recurring month to month like you get with Patreon. I really urge you to do that because honestly, $532 a month is nowhere near enough to support the development team that's behind this product. And this product's free and it gives you access to even more free content. In fact, I don't know about you, but when I play my Quest, half my time is with Quest, store-bought items, and my other half of my time is spent on SideQuest and side-loaded apps. So when I look at where the money's going, it seems very disproportionate right now. So I urge you to look at yourself and your gaming habits and maybe consider throwing a few dollars to the SideQuest team. It will only help make it better. All right, the coming soon section, I've got 5 really cool games I want to put on your radar. They're all coming to the Quest, some sooner and some later. The first one I want to talk about is one called Time Stall. This is made by Force Field Entertainment, who also made Anne Frank, which got a 4.7 on the Oculus Quest. They also made the National Geographic Explorer, got a 4.3 out of 5 in the Oculus Store, so 2 great Oculus Quest titles. They also made Landfall, which is probably one of their biggest titles on the Rift. That got a 4.3, and they even made a title called Coaster Combat. That's right, Coaster Combat on the go, and that got a decent score of 4.2 as well. So clearly, this development, Force Field Entertainment, seems to be able to deliver some pretty compelling VR content. This particular one is a different sort of game, and if you watch the trailer here, and I urge you to find the link below, it is a hilarious trailer. It's all about boarding this crowd-funded spaceship called the Fantastic Leap. What a great name. And it's a puzzle game where you actually get to kind of freeze time. And you have to sort of arrange and move things around in certain ways so you can prevent, disasters from happening and bringing down the whole ship. It just sounds like such a great premise, and I love games where you get to freeze time. It says in the video here that it's coming August 15th, so fingers crossed, because there's not a lot coming out this month, and this one in particular looks like one of the best of the bunch. So keep your eyes open for Time Stall. And another game that got kind of hinted at this week that's coming to the Quest is a game called Cloudlands 2 Mini Golf. And for those of you who played Cloudlands 1, the very first one on the go, it got decent reviews of 4.2. And this is a game that I played on a couple platforms and I've really enjoyed it. It's fun, whimsical, it's mini golf, but you get to do it in VR, so you get to do some pretty crazy stuff you can't do in the real world. This is one to definitely keep your eyes on. And they've confirmed, based on this Facebook post, it is coming to the Quest. Now, no date's been set. All we know from developer Future Town is that it's coming soon. Don't know what that is. And just based on their trailer, and this is the trailer they released, I don't think they're very far yet because there's not much to look at here, quite honestly. So we're probably a ways away, but let's fingers crossed before the holiday season. It's nice to get a mini golf game on the Quest because it's just so perfect for that environment. Another great game that I'm definitely keeping my eye on is called Shortcut VR. It's a co-op game, it's open world, and it's all about sailing. It's kind of cool. Now, I know we have Battleweight coming out soon, and it also has sailing aspects, but this one seems more of a sailing simulator. It has a lot more of that sort of elements to it. The action takes place in this fantasy world where there's this unique phenomenon called time storms that I guess happens every once in a while, and it deposits strange objects from other timelines. So that's kind of an interesting twist to the game. It's filled with fantastic, strange creatures. It has some human habitats, and it has unpredictable wildlife and weather effects. So this game is kind of a living, breathing, open world sort of game. It will feature realistic sailing and naval combat mechanics, player combat as well, so hand-to-hand player combat, and you can customize your character, and you get to go around and discover islands, and you get to dig for treasures, and there's a whole bunch of cool mysteries to uncover in this game. It even allows you to play musical instruments solo and with others. So that aspect, I'm really curious to see how that's going to work out, because not all of us are very musical. There's no release date on this one, but just looking at the video here, it seems like the development is fairly far along, and it's looking beautiful and interesting. Now, it seems like very ambitious. Just the description of this game seems like there's a lot in here. This feels like a AAA title in terms of scope, but we'll see where this one ends up. We're gonna find out more over the coming weeks and months, and as soon as I do, I'll be letting you know. But I really do think if you're into these sorts of open world games, Shortcut VR is for sure one you're gonna wanna keep your eyes open for. And this next thing coming soon, I really don't know what to even make about it. It's called Sharks on Mars. Yeah, so strange. And it's made by developer Glimpse, and they're saying it's like nothing you've ever seen before. And certainly, I mean, the whole premise of the game sounds just crazy. In fact, the only description they have is Mars plus lasers times sharks, close brackets, VR equals, oh my goodness. So clearly there's a little humor over there, over at the Glimpse developers. And apparently there's an interactive trailer coming in 2019. Don't know what that means. That sounds kind of intriguing, an interactive trailer. And all we know that is coming to the Quest only because of the hashtag here. Other than that, we don't know anything else about it. We don't know when it's coming, what the game actually really even is. But my eyebrows are raised. My curiosity is piqued. This is the name of the game alone. This could be an interesting twist on VR gaming. And the last game I'm going to put in our coming soon section is one I've talked about several times now, and that is Doctor Who. And this week, the team over there at Maze Theory put together another awesome trailer. This one more gameplay focused, as you can see here. And it's only 4 minutes. You can go ahead and get the original link below to go watch it yourself. It gives you a bit of a review of what the game might be like. And it's looking very polished. It's also looking very AAA. It reminds me of many other kind of exploration, adventure games. And at the very end, when you go to the TARDIS, there's just that ability to look in the TARDIS and see its larger expanse, and then be able to look to the side of it and look behind it. When I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness, I remember being a child and being so enthralled with the TARDIS for that very thing. There's a huge world inside this little police box. And I never thought in my actual life that I'd actually be able to experience that. And so we're all going to be able to walk up to the TARDIS and walk into it and explore it in the very near future. So this is very exciting. We're very, very close to this game coming out, so do keep tuned for that. I can't wait to review this for you. All right, like I said at the top of the show, I have 4 more coming soon stories that I want to share with you. And one of them, the very first story, is, in my mind, a little mind-blowing. It's a game called Metamatter by Vertical Robot. At Vertical Robot tweeted this week that they are working on a Quest game and it's coming on August 15th. So surprise, surprise, looks like August isn't going to be as dry as perhaps I was indicating earlier in this video. And this one's a story-driven VR puzzle adventure game set inside a dystopian sci-fi Cold War. You take on a role of an astronaut, and your mission is to investigate a shady, top-secret research project that's going on there. It's a sort of a solve puzzles in a very beautifully rendered world, and not just like beautifully rendered, but at levels that I really hadn't really thought that we would actually ever see on the Quest. And I'm a little bit surprised because lighting effects and transparency effects and all this you're seeing in these videos, and link below to watch the whole thing if you're a graphic nut, because you'll love to see this. But just looking at it here, you already get the impression that it's impressive, and some of these lighting effects are really taking me by surprise. So the graphics the Quest can put out are impressive when talented people are behind the scenes working on the graphics engine. And it's a very complicated thing, of course, but in this case, it looks like Unreal has unlocked something, and Red Matter has taken advantage of that, and the results are truly stunning. So I'm gonna put this on full screen just for a few moments here, just to give you a really quick sense to how big of a deal these graphics are. Right? Wow. Wow, it makes me very excited about the future of the Quest. I didn't think we'd be squeezing this much out of it this early in its life cycle. This is very exciting. Another game that got announced on Friday, August 2nd, is Pinball FX 2. Now, Pinball FX is a game made by Zen Studios, and it's been on a whole plethora of platforms, from PC to handheld to Nintendo Switch, and of course it's made its transition over to VR as well. It's been on Samsung Gear VR, it's been on Oculus Go, it's been on the Oculus Rift, of course Steam, PlayStation 4 VR, it's been in all of it. And what's interesting is that now it's coming also to the Quest, and I think this is going to be a big hit for those of you who really love pinball. And if you haven't tried pinball in VR, let me give you that kind of the awesomeness about it and why it's so awesome. Not only does it look really cool to be standing in front of a pinball machine, and you can get, third-party add-ons where like the legs of an actual, pinball machine, and you can lean on that while you lean on it in the real world in VR. So it's some pretty cool things. It's a little dicey to line up, but something I try to hold myself. Just feeling you're hunched over that pinball table feels so real when you're touching. Anyways, I'm digressing on that one, but what makes Pinball FX so special is that the latency is so low. If you've ever gotten really heavy into, say, a console-based Pinball FX type game, and I got crazy with Arabian Nights Pinball, like crazy with it. And in order to beat that game, you had to start to be a little bit preemptive in your flipper kicks, because you knew that, when timing's really tight and it's ball's coming down fast, that if you flip when you think you're supposed to flip, it's actually 120 milliseconds too late, or whatever that number is. So you do get used to it. But in VR, it really feels real time. It really feels like you're playing an actual pinball. And the physics in Pinball FX 2 is really top notch. So if you're a pinball fan, highly recommend you get this game when it comes out. It's $14.99 for 3 tables. It comes with a table that's sci-fi themed called Mars. It has another one called the Sea Adventure, Secrets of the Deep, which I haven't really played either of those two very much. But the one that I like a lot in the starter pack is Epic Quest. Epic Quest is awesome if you're into sort of knights in shining armor, sort of Monty Python-like take on it in a cartoonish way pinball game. That's one to go check out. It comes with it, $14.99, and then you can go buy other tables. They've got a really large library on other platforms. I'm sure will all come to the Quest as well. Links below to go check them out. And it's also coming on August 15th. So we've got 2 games now to look forward to on that date. I mean, August is, like I said, it's shaping up to be actually a pretty decent month for games. And another game is coming out soon, and this one doesn't have a release date as of yet, but it's in alpha, we'll talk about that more in just a moment, is one called Marineverse Cup. And here's an alpha video of it, and as you can see, the level of realism here is, fairly good. Now, I'm not a sailor, but I did go and look at some YouTube sailing videos as a comparison. And as a layman looking at it, I could see how someone could jump into one of these boats and not only use it for racing, as is the case here, but maybe even use it for just kind of the very first sort of training you get. Maybe it could be in VR to how to sail. So when you finally get to a real ship to continue your training, you're already sort of versed in the general layout, you got some muscle memory going, things like that. So there's some big benefits here, not just for gaming, but I can see a lot of this takes off and the physics are good and it feels right. I can see this being picked up by a lot of yacht clubs and sailing clubs and whatnot to help educate people on how to be good sailors. And it really makes me wonder, where are we going to be at when we hit Quest 2 or Quest 3? Really exciting times ahead in this area for all these games and apps. As I said earlier, I'm half gaming and half experiences. And I don't know where Marineverse Cup quite falls yet. Maybe it's more full game and arcadey, but what I saw there looked a lot more realistic. So I think this is going to be, more of an app than a game, I have a sense. But more, I'm sure, will be released as soon as this game gets a little more developed. Looks awesome. I wish them all the best. And then there's one more title that I want to squeeze in here before I wrap up this section, and that is Vader Immortal 2. Now, it was announced just this past week on D23.com that episode 2 details would be coming out on Friday, August 23rd at 2 p.m. That's Pacific time, because we're out in Anaheim, California, at the actual Anaheim Convention Center, Stage 28, if you're there. I think the biggest thing that's exciting about Vader Immortal 2 is that they're going to really start to exploit some of the Force powers. And I know that in past Star Wars games where I've been able to use like Force Push or Force Levitate, it feels very empowering. And I've always thought to myself, I wonder what that would be like in VR. And so we're going to get the opportunity to maybe even Force Choke. That's what the article says here. There's a link below to the Road to VR article on this, but Choke, that's exciting. I mean, that's badass. What else can you say? Wow. Force Choke, that's I haven't seen any games in VR yet where you've choked somebody. Does anyone know of one? Go ahead and leave a comment below. All right, so Vader Immortal, August 23rd. Let's mark it in our calendars. And I'll report back to you in the August 24th Oculus Quest Week in Review, so stay tuned for them. All right, we got a new section this week called Collocation VR. Now, it's not a new topic. I've covered this actually quite a few times, typically in the community section, but I'm pulling it out and making its own heading from now on because I really, like I've been saying, I believe that Collocation VR in the Oculus Quest is the killer Quest app. And I've shown quite a few people now doing various different collocation apps. This one here is by Ong Innovations. It's headed by a fellow named Steve Ong. They've got a whole team over there working on this. And this week they put out a bit of a teaser, as you can see here. And they've got, what you will see is a normal laser tag-like environment where they've overlaid a VR world using the Oculus Quest and using some sort of point cloud with what they call spatial anchors from Microsoft to basically ensure that everything's locked and loaded. And as you can see, when you take the Quest off and on, you can see, it's very accurate, even more accurate than some of the past collocations I've shown you, which have generally been off by about a foot or 30 centimeters. This one's pretty bang on. So I think there's some interesting things coming. This company, they're opening up 42 locations all across the USA. There's no mention of locations outside the United States for now, but I'm sure over the next couple of years, we're going to see this and other companies like this spring up all over the place and provide this sort of service. It's interesting that they're using Microsoft Azure spatial anchors to do this. I would have thought that the Oculus for Business, which is launching very soon, would have had APIs and toolkits and services to provide, but I guess this developer didn't want to wait. And they found a service with Microsoft and they're running with it. So more on this soon. Now, last week I reported about Location, the Grid, and the Grid has something also very similar that you can go try right now. So, and that's only if you're in California, they're down in Oceanside. Links in the description of last week's news. Or wait a little longer, and apparently we're going to see 42 locations open up all across the country. So I think by the end of this year, and certainly by the end of next year, I really think Collocation VR is going to be a big thing. And I wonder, is it going to be a bring your own Quest experience and or rent one there if you don't have it? I have some interesting possibilities here. All right, in a hardware and software section, you know that last week I reported on Oculus Quest's Build 7.0 for the Quest. It was an update that repaired and fixed a whole pile of issues and improved things like tracking and gave us dual laser pointers for our controllers. And it was a very good update. I'm very pleased with Oculus on that one. Of course, there's always more to do. However, it also caused an issue this week. Early after I did my last news show on the 27th of July, RandomMan85 started posting up on Reddit that his right controller wouldn't work anymore. Apparently, when he's pointing at things in the menu outside of games, it just wouldn't work at all. And he emailed Oculus and they got back to him, and this is what they said, and I quote, "We've identified the root cause and we're working on a fix that should go out to folks over the next few days. If you do not see this resolved by the end of this week, please let me know and I'd be happy to investigate it further." Now, I know that quite a few of you are having this problem. It's not a huge percentage, it's hard to say. Certainly it's not pervasive, but it's enough that when you go to the Reddit thread, link below, there's enough people talking about this exact same problem. So it's affecting quite a few of you. So if you don't find that this is solved by the time you watch this newscast, because that would have been the end of the week that Oculus was talking about, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Also, go and find the thread in the comments to the Reddit post that RandomMan85 had put up, and go ahead and chime in and upvote it, and that will give Oculus a kind of indication of how many people are actually still experiencing this problem. And I had to insert one more thing to the hardware software section, and that is sort of a follow-up to the news story earlier about the right controller not always working in the main home area, and that there's going to be an update. Well, it sounds like the update has hit us. It hit us sometime on Friday morning, Pacific time, and it's going across the world and updating people on whatever the method that Oculus does it. I can't see a pattern. It just seems to update some people right away and others have to wait as much as a week. In fact, on Friday in Reddit, there were people commenting that they still hadn't had the update. So we'll link below to that comment if you're curious to follow that thread. So it's interesting, and apparently it's no one said yet that I've seen, it's so fresh, whether or not it fixes that right controller issue, but I suspect it would be based on the Oculus official comment from support just above in the story we just heard. All right, our last section for this week, of course, is the community section. We'll start off at the very top by talking about a really cool post that Redditor YoungB_City asked, what other games have similar requirements from 1998, 1999, 2000, etc., etc.? And this is in reference to Half-Life, which, as you know, because Dr. Beef just brought to the Quest recently, and that's got the juices flowing on people thinking, what other great games in the past that would have no problem running on the Quest hardware? And things like Red Faction came out, Soldier of Fortune, Quake 2 maybe even Quake 3, GTA 3, No One Lives Forever, Deus Ex, System Shock 2, Halo, Combat Evolved, and many, many, many more. And this is a really interesting topic because some of those games are open source. Unfortunately, not all of them are, but some of them are. And or if the developer gets wind that their old game might have a new life in the Quest, then I would urge you to make some noise over on Reddit, because the more that we talk about this, the more that these old games might get dusted off. And as people were saying with Half-Life, even if you played through the game, experiencing in VR is like a totally different game. In fact, a lot of people are saying it's really quite scary, and that's what VR is like. Everything is scary in VR, I find. So I'm curious, what games would you like to see in sort of the past? Not the most recent stuff, because that won't run on the Quest. You know, the highest end games on PS4 or Xbox or PC, they won't run on the Quest. But older games, you know, kind of Xbox 360 and older, PS3 and older, you know, these ones certainly, some of them might be able to with some tweaks. So what games would you like to see ported over to the Quest, whether it be officially or unofficially via Sideload? And I'd like to announce there's a new dedicated Quest review site called 6DOF Reviews, link below. It was made by Redditor Koranga, and they posted on Tuesday that they posted the site, and they're looking for people to go check it out and to go and give them some feedback. So I provided a link to the website, and I provided a link to the Reddit thread that if you want to check their site out and give them feedback, they would really appreciate. And they're looking for writers. So if you're a game writer, go ahead, look for the link below, go to that Reddit thread and contact Koranga. Let them know you'd like to write reviews for the Quest. All right, that is all the news for this week. Thank you so much for watching as always. I hope you're enjoying your Quest as much as I am. If you haven't got your Quest yet, fingers crossed that your shipping issues have been resolved and it's heading your way very soon. And no matter what, I hope to see you all in the Metaverse.